Oh, what's good, everyone? So you know, it's Dom Dahlia. How's everyone doing? As much as I wish everyone was doing as good as they could, I understand that it's been quite a turbulent amount of time that has arisen over the months pertaining to politics and choices of executive decisions that clearly come from someone with incredibly low IQ and incredibly fascist. Everything that I want to share about this is as simple as what it is. I don't like when there's a huge number of people who just have done everything they can over the decades. And I've been around for what? I've been alive for almost 3 decades. I'm a late 1990s baby, and I could definitely say for sure that what has been occurring over the last amount of time has been something in the making for a long time, delved in by fascists who hate the fact they're just not creative people. They're just not creative people. They're not creative. They haven't been able to prove ever that they really understand the emotions of creativity. And they continuously want to live in an implicative nature that is equivalent to that of the Nazis, equivalent to that of any fascist regime over humanity, over the course of humanity. I am very sorry to all of those who have dealt with the worst of the worst as a result of this fascism. I've never, ever supported fascism ever in my life, nor will I ever. I cannot believe how many people just have become that bitter to the basic truth that they should have learned growing up about the truth of how we model our emotions on fact, creativity, philosophy. They are the ones who cannot handle a lot of times this not being what they can understand. So then this becomes this to a lot of good people. That's what the narcissist does. Well, narcissist, here's my response because I know what it's like to be a philosopher myself. I know what it's like to say that philosophy is truly not about trying to prove what is truly intelligence, but purely how does fact over time become bias? And how does that bias truly help one better truly justify their belonging in an environment, in an economy where that bias truly makes sense given the economic evaluation, implications, yada, yada, yada. Philosophy in of itself is the collectiveness of fact that has become bias in things such as religion, politics, diversification, and media. The problem is not that people have been able to prove how bias oftentimes exists in a lot of people's everyday lives, but simply put, refuses to let it go that bias is not necessarily required for one to do one's job if they've really proven they don't understand the root of philosophy is consequentialism. Consequential, consequentialism is the ability that modern day philosophy knows is the root of truly caring about a society. Is to know that consequentialism is sound, that all true actions and contributions that people do as good implies there is a desire and a natural need to want to do good for others. So many of these narcissists do not perceive it as they want consequentialism to be still part of philosophy, essentially, because a lot of these narcissists will not let it go that they are still supposed to prove they care to do what is good for the majority in their society, not just to try to get the attention. They got to stop being those narcissistic teachers that just want the attention of the smartest kids in the class and could say fuck off to every other student that really validates they even have a job as a teacher. And truly be told, even if they're not teachers, these narcissists in these different jobs need to leave them alone, that they haven't proven that they create barriers to entry that really validate the idea that bias really helps one better assert when there needs to be more barriers to entry in jobs. It's true that a lot of times a job industry is going to be relative to its area, depending on what is the average belief system, what is the average political party affiliation, what is the average diversification, what is the average cultural diversification, and what is the average media outlet of consumption in things such as entertainment, um, news of that sort. And so a lot of times, uh, the problem is it's just we need more people who genuinely understand philosophy to really be more willing to be more upfront that they're not to do anything about replacing what is fact and what is actually creativity. They need to stop assuming that philosophy is just a way to prevent them from knowing how to genuinely say when they really haven't reached that point of feeling the need to practice philosophy, to practice consequentialism. Oftentimes, what I know is that consequentialism is a response to when one has truly socialized enough with enough people to genuinely develop that desire to use philosophy, to use essentially bias to help prove that they still care about the people that they care about, the people they've socialized with, and the people they've learned to really become very attached to and close to. Yeah, use bias to continue to validate your relationships with people in terms of why you would put their interest over the interest of others in the overall grand scheme of humanity, why you would care purely about your society instead of everyone's societies. But are they doing that? No. Is this administration doing that? No. Are they truly people who've proven that they are just a narcissistic teacher that is way too creepy with the creative outliers, that one or two students in the class that are considered truly the smart kid? Yeah. Are they the narcissistic boss who spends way too long not keeping up with how to make sure barriers to entry in their industry continue to promote job growth at a steady rate that keeps up with population? They also don't do that as well. So all I can tell everyone is, yeah, if you're a philosopher, if you really know you understand the emotions of philosophy, and you know that at the end of the day, you don't care to really practice it until you feel you've really developed enough care for others, you keep doing that. You keep being yourself. Keep being yourself. These people, they don't want you to be yourself. They want you to become bad like them, where they just do not want to be told. They've never really learned to care for anyone but themselves. That's my advice. I really hope everyone does everything they can to continue to be proud of where, to try their best to really understand that America is going to become more and more not one society as a whole, but a collection of different societies pocketed all in this one land that we call America. Learn to just care about truly understanding where you live. Truly learn to voice the land that you exist better. Truly learn to not be ashamed if you're really just emotionally a factual person, or if you're emotionally really a creative person, if you're emotionally really a philosophical person, or if you're all three, or only two. All I can say is be proud of who you are, because a lot of these supremacists, they don't want people to be proud of who they are. They want them to be just as lonesome and just as manipulative as them, because they are very, very scared of the truth that most people could have really lived life without them. They're that insecure that so many people didn't know they existed before this, and so many people will forget them well after this nightmare. Thank you so much for listening. I love every one of you that supports my channel and supports my music. I will be coming back with more music to share. I will be doing a food eating challenge in Athens, Georgia, and I will be recording that and I will post it on this channel. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you, everyone. Take care.